good. And then you're good to go whenever, guy.
All right. From the field to the studio to your ears and eyes today,
Ooh.
we bring you the 816 hour.
You and Carter always switch it up. One of you'll do either eyes first and ears, or ears then eyes.
I didn't know. Carter messed his up, so I had a lot of pressure. I felt like
you really just called him out, didn't you?
It's
a month. You had to. I get that.
Carter has his time to call people out. Now it's my time.
Look at that. Keegan's jumping at the opportunity.
Exactly.
But Keeg, how are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Pretty chill day. That's what I was telling Carter. Just hanging out today for real.
Just waiting to record.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been, like we were talking about, a couple weeks since we've seen each other. Got to sit down. I mean, hopefully on Saturday. I mean, get you boys in the studio. We got the new studio, as you can see.
Hey, can we just take a moment? My boy Bryson bought a house.
Oh, come on. Thank you, Keeg. I appreciate that. All love, man. Oh, but today,
behind him.
Hey, I'm telling you. For YouTube videos, it's going to go crazy.
It's going to go crazy. I love it. It looks like even the background for you right now, it looks awesome.
Well, some light. Got to give them a little glimpse of what they're going to see.
A little sneak peek.
Saturday, make sure you tune in. Check out the YouTube. Exactly. Check us out. You'll see the studio in full. I mean, the boys will be in it. It'll be a great time. But Keeg, today, defensive end position breakdown.
Ooh.
Kind of an exciting position group, I'd say.
It is
very exciting. I know we broke down running backs, linebackers, safeties.
Have we dropped the safeties podcast? Question mark.
We have not dropped safeties. Linebackers were the last one, so we have safeties coming out, and now we're doing defensive ends. Maybe
and time this is out, safeties will be out.
Exactly. I think I'll probably get that one up tonight. But so if you're watching this and you haven't seen the safety video, go back.
There you go.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, check it out. But defensive ends, Key. You just want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Young, physical group.
Exciting.
Real quick. Speaking of defensive ends, the 816 hour met a Chiefs defensive end not too long ago.
What? Check out the Twitter. Check out the TikTok. There might someone might be on there that talking to the 816 hour. Who knows?
You might have to check it out. It was pretty cool.
Hey, surreal moment. Hopefully not the last Chiefs interview we get. That's all I got to say.
For real. I'm saying.
Jump right into it. Defensive end one. Obviously, I think this is kind of a given. Frank Clark.
Yeah.
The Shark. 29 years old. It sucks to say, but he's coming off of one of his worst statistical seasons in his career.
Last year.
Only 29 pressures. That ranked 35th in the NFL.
As much as he was what was he getting paid? Was he the highest paid player last year?
At his position?
At his position, for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Overall, though, I know he was like top 5, top 3 just for last year.
Yeah, for a guy that wasn't producing on the field, definitely wasn't cutting it, restructured his contract this offseason. Yeah. So now 2-year deal worth up to $26 million.
Yeah.
He didn't look like himself last year. I know he dealt with the stomach issue a lot, kind of dealt with some injuries off the field, but are we going to see a fully healthy Frank Clark this year? That's the question.
It looks like we're getting a new version of Frank Clark. You heard the talk. He said he's sober. He's better mentally. And when we saw him, he looked
lean.
When he was running up to us, we thought it was some wide receiver.
It's like, who is this? Why is Marquez Valdez-Scantling running up? And then everyone starts chanting Shark and Frank. And I'm like, this is Frank Clark?
He was lean. He lost a lot of weight. He was looking good,
Yep.
Edge rushers, you love to see that, he's just got to do it.
He's got to produce on the field.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, love Frank Clark. He does a lot of talking off the field. I smell the blood in the water. He had the postseason sacks. He does. So now, if he can bring that energy on top of bringing it on the field, That's going to be key.
And we saw it in the 2019 playoffs. It was a big reason the Chiefs won the Super Bowl that year.
One of the, if not one of the, probably the biggest reason on that defensive side of the ball. Let's be real.
Every playoff win in that Super Bowl run, he ended that game with a sack. I mean, it was wild.
I'm going to turn this light off real quick.
You're good.
Oh, there we go. It was just shining right on me. Big thing about Frank that I like coming out of training camp, you see all the tapes of him and George Karlaftas.
It's awesome. I love that.
He's just taking him under his wing. He's showing him what to do. He's showing him the ropes. He's came out and said, George is probably one of my favorite rookies I had. George is dope.
Yeah, he's like, he just loves to learn. He listens.
I love that.
Like you said, every single day after camp, he's going to help George. George has questions. Yep. He's letting them. The day we were there, even though we didn't see it, they were working after, and then Carlos came up, and there was a video of him talking to him and giving him, advice.
See, the fact that the Chiefs have this kind of not established defensive end room, but like they have these established guys, like we'll mention. Exactly. To take
around Dunlap, big vet coming in.
Yep. Mike Dana, even. I mean, we'll jump into him a little bit, but he's been around the league a bit.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's just, and to show, like, to have them come in and accept the fact that they're also training George Karlaftas to play alongside them and accepting that role. I love that. It just shows the culture in Kansas City and what kind of team that is.
Oh, I agree. I love it.
Moving off Frank, defensive end 2, I got George Karlaftas. I think he's a lock to start this year. We'll talk Carlos Dunlap. Maybe he kind of fights for some snaps at the beginning of the year because he has that.
If you looked at the Chiefs' unofficial depth chart released for Saturday's game, it was interesting looking at the defensive ends.
Really?
Well, you had Frank with Donna on the opposite side with Dunlap and Karlaftas as the backups.
Okay.
Obviously, we're really early in the year. I keep hitting my window, but we're earlier in the year, so obviously read too much into it. But I think Clark, Dunlap. I mean, I think all 4 of those guys are going to be a lot of rotational. I mean, I sent you that tweet where they had Karlaftas and someone else on the inside with Jones and Clark on the.
Was it Treshawn?
I think it was Wharton. I was
going to say they had 2 smaller guys on the inside and 2 the bigger guys on the outside. So it was odd to see that.
Right,
yeah,
it was interesting.
So with Karlaftas, obviously first round pick, 30th overall out of Purdue, 6'4", 266. He ran a 4.7 140. I mean, I know those are just numbers, but put the guy's tape on. That's all I have to say.
Motor
is second to none. He's been actually told to chill out at practice. Like coaches have had to tell him, like, hey man, these are your teammates. Like you got to take it down a notch. I'm excited to see when coaches are like, nah, man, like turn that up. Go hit the other guy.
Saturday.
It's exciting. Watch out. So another thing with George Karlaftas watching tape, very strong and explosive hands. He gets his hands on you. He's a strong physical guy, moves you out of the way. But what stood out to me, he has that asset, but his ability to turn his hips and move and like, what did I write down? His bend. There it is. Something that I did not expect out of a 6'4", 266 guy that is, I mean, just beefed up completely. But watching him use his hands and bending and working around, maneuvering, using his speed to get around guys, it's exciting to see.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I think we had a pre-draft podcast, and I think it was you that brought off Karlaftas and that bend that he has. Mm-hmm. I mean, a 6'4" dude, he's huge. He just finds ways to get to that quarterback. I mean, he had 7.5 sacks last year with Purdue.
Yeah,
I mean, he can just do it.
It was cool to watch him get drafted, and he's talking to what I assume is his girlfriend after he got drafted, and he's sitting there telling me, he's like, the Chiefs got established guys, like they're not going to be able to double team me, because all he did in the Big Ten was get double teamed. You're not going to be able to double team Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and George Karlaftas. Yeah. So that's going to be exciting. Next guy I got Carlos Dunlap. Obviously, just signed a 1-year deal last week?
last week, something. Half ago now.
Yeah, signed to the league minimum, can get up to $8 million in incentives and all of that. 33 years old, coming out of Seattle, 8.5 sacks last year. How did you feel about the Carlos Dunlap signing?
When I saw it, there was talk about bringing him in, obviously late signing where, get week 1 preseason is Saturday. Yep. He's been here for a week. But it made me feel better about the defensive room as a whole. I mean, now you have another vet guy who got 8.5 sacks last year. Like, he didn't have, a decent year for a vet. He had a real year. He had, 8.5 sacks. I mean,
he isn't just some bum off the street coming in with 3.5 sacks.
Killed for someone with 8.5 sacks last year.
Yeah.
Bring back. I can't talk. So to bring a guy like that in, I mean, I like it. And the vet, I mean, I think we have the same opinion. When you bring vets in to teach young guys, it's always going to work out.
Yeah. I like it a lot in the aspect of come postseason because, I mean, I don't think Dunlap, Cincinnati a couple of years whenever Andy Dalton was there, but obviously with Seattle hasn't really had the postseason experience. So I think him coming in kind of wanting that postseason experience, wanting a deep run. And he already in his press conferences came out and said, I know why they brought me here. They're not bringing in a 33-year-old to restart their franchise or revamp their defense. He knows he's a role player. He knows he's here to teach Karlaftas, show these younger guys how he's gotten to where he's at. I mean, 33 years old. He's been in the league, 8-9 years?
Been around.
He might be doing something right,
Exactly. But yeah, he's huge. When we saw him in training camp when we went,
towering.
How did play basketball in high school?
Guaranteed.
Probably in college.
I could see it. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me at least.
Where did Carlos Dunlap go to college?
Oh, I can look it up real quick. Let me see as I pull out my phone.
Texas. I feel like Texas for some reason.
That sounds right. He seems like a Texas guy. Let's see. College. Went to Florida. Okay. Oh, that's Miami. Weird. He went to Miami and then he went to Florida.
Oh, okay.
So he went in state. Okay.
Gotcha.
But next guy after that, I think this guy might make a big jump this year. We already kind of mentioned his name. Mike Dana, however you want to pronounce it. 24 years old, coming into his 3rd year in the NFL. 3 sacks last season, only started 6 games. But what's crazy, he had 22 pressures last year.
For a while, he was the Chiefs sack leader for the first half of the year. He was the only guy they could throw out there and actually get pressure.
He had 7 less pressures than Frank Clark, and Frank Clark played a very, very big role compared to Mike Dana. That's all I have to say on that one.
No, yeah, you're not wrong.
So with Dana, I like all aspects of the guy. He was a 5th-round pick out of Michigan. He's been a rotation guy, hasn't really got a shot, but when he's on the field, he's that guy. Like we talked about the motor with Karlaftas. It seems like every time Dana was put on the field, he put himself in a spot to make a play. If that makes sense.
Now that we're talking about Dana, I think him and Karlaftas might have been the guys on the inside.
Okay, gotcha.
But because Dana is kind of a bigger guy for an edge, so I feel like the Chiefs should. But as a whole, I know I'm getting off track, but as a whole, I think they're just trying to find any way to create pressure right now.
I love it. That's got to be the biggest thing, especially with the names you have on the defensive line. You have to be able to.
That's the defensive back's place. If you don't get pressure, they can't cover forever. I mean, it's a bend don't break defense in the first place. So you got to get pressure. That defense won't work.
I'm with you. But I think a lot, we've seen a lot in training camp. And that first unofficial depth chart that came out, Dana's been that guy. Dana's been running it with the ones. Dana's been the guy opposite of Frank Clark on the defensive side of the ball. We might see him start a good amount of games in Kansas City.
You might. I think we're going to see him, especially at the beginning of the year. I mean, obviously, as the year goes on, a lot of things happen. But at the beginning of the year, definitely he'll get the chance for sure.
I'm excited for Dana. Next guy, I got Joshua Kando. I know I'm a bit higher on him than a lot of others. Joshua Kando, we've been waiting. 4th-round pick out of Florida State. Had the ankle injury, got placed on the IR last season, so that held him out the whole season. 6'6", 260. The dude's he reminds me of like Tano. Remember when Tano was out there on defensive end? Like,
huge.
Just an absolute mauler. Watch his tape at Florida State. I know I'm saying watch college tape, but I mean, the guy just doesn't have a lot of pro tape. And if you do, his pro tape, you're going to watch the preseason against the Vikings where he recovers that fumble. So go watch that tape as well. But how do you feel about Joshua Kando, Keek?
I think he's going to show why the Chiefs took a chance on him last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, length, big lengthy guy, 6'6", like you mentioned. Spags loves the long arm guys defensive end. That's the reason they brought in Carlos Dunlap. Yep. Big reason why they drafted Joshua Kando. But I think this season he'll definitely get some time for sure, especially in games like Saturday in the preseason. Yeah. But I think he'll show promise. I think he'll show promise.
He is excited to watch Kando on Saturday. He's going, run through a brick wall.
But this year, I think for sure he'll show promise that he can be the next edge rusher for the Chiefs.
I hope so. I mean, like we mentioned, he was a 4th-round pick, so not a high pick by any means. But I mean, he was a projected 7th-round pick if you look at his NFL draft grid, like his draft profile. Projected 7th-round guy. So the Chiefs obviously saw something in him. If you look at his tape at Florida State, I remember putting it on. Literally right before we started the podcast, I was touching up on it. First play I saw, he dropped back. Oh, who was throwing the ball? Oh, it was Sam Howell.
Your mic went out.
Why did my mic go out? What? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
It's so weird. I don't know why it went out, but hey, I mean.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. No, I didn't know.
Yeah, the pick 6, and then just watching him, he just that big, how quick he was able to move, how he used his speed to his advantage, and also had the mixture of power as well. I know that sometimes doesn't always translate to the NFL, and we don't see that jump, especially dealing with that injury all last year. We don't know how he's going to come back, especially.
Yeah. You don't know what to expect.
Being out of the league for a year is definitely hard, especially coming in as a rookie and not being able to play that first year. So,
yeah. But the big thing for him is, this is kind of like his rookie year now. Mm-hmm. But he got to use an NFL, facility to train this whole offseason. I think that's a big thing.
He got to watch Frank Clark train.
Exactly. We mentioned it with John Ross and the wide receiver. Well, supposed to be the wide receivers podcast. He's not playing this year, but he gets that NFL facility. He can do so many things.
Yeah,
get his body right. So Kando probably been in the gym here once or twice in past offseason.
For a guy, I put down for a guy that might not make the team. Like I don't think I've been more excited for a guy in a while.
Yeah, same.
So this is where you might not like me, Keek. So guys, I don't have making the team. I know. So I didn't put any notes down for Malik Herring outside a couple things because I know he's your boy. So I wanted you to take over. Tell us about Malik Herring, Geek.
Man out of Georgia.
Yep.
Didn't play at all last year. Didn't even, training camp. They signed him, I believe, to a futures contract or some weird contract as an undrafted free agent. Mm-hmm. I think he has a knee problem.
Tore his ACL in the pre-draft process.
There you go.
That's what
I thought that's what it was, but I didn't want to say he had a 20 ACL and be completely off. But
yeah,
just when I watch Malik Herring, I don't know. It just gets me excited. Obviously, now we have George Karlaftas and these other guys who just have that high motor. But when I see Malik Herring, he has that high motor. Like he's a guy. And, I follow him on social media, and he really seems like he wants it. Like he wants to go play football. He's just ready to make an impact.
Everything that I've read is said that he fits the mold of a Steve Spagnuolo defensive end. He has want to say shorter arms that I read, but that, like you said, that motor is huge. And a lot of guys were saying that this training camp was going to be his kind of coming out party in the preseason. Everyone was going to see like why people should have drafted Malik Herring. Obviously, with the pre-draft injury towards ACL, so wasn't able to do any of the running, any of the individual drills. But I just think he gets lost in that position group, especially with bringing in the vet like Carlos Dunlap. If Joshua Kando can get that last spot, I mean, between Kando, Malik Herring, and then this last guy got Austin Edwards, I think that'll kind of be a fight for that last spot on the Chiefs defensive end.
It for sure will be.
But I mean, like I just mentioned, Austin Edwards, he's another 24-year-old. He was a free agent that the Chiefs signed from the Falcons practice squad out of Ferris State Division II school. He actually in 2019 won the Defensive Lineman of the Year award.
Okay.
Thought that was pretty cool. Hasn't played it down in the NFL. He has one active game for the Falcons. Did not get to see the field, but he was active. I'd love to see him I'd love the story. I like the Division II guy like Treshawn Wharton kind of making a name for himself, working his way up, figuring it out. But I just don't think he has the skill set that stacks up with the other Chiefs players very well.
Yeah, I got you.
But Keeg, those are the defensive ends I got. You want to go over some predictions?
Do it. Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. So starting off, who gets that last defensive end spot? Kando, Malik Herring, Austin Edwards. Let me know. I know who you're gonna say. It's okay. You can say it.
Well, let's see. How many do they got? They're probably gonna keep.
So Frank, Carlos, Karlaftas, Mike Dana. Those are locks. 4 locks. I think they have a 5th guy just because you have a backup for everyone. So you got 2. Then you need that 3rd guy.
4. Yeah. So there's going to be, man, I mean, you also have the practice squad.
Very true.
You know what? I was going to go Kando, but I'll stick with my guy. Give me Malik Herring. Why not?
I get that.
I want to ready for him Saturday. Watch him Saturday. It'll be his coming out party. Everyone knows he's that guy.
He's calling his shot. I love it. I got Josh Kando. Been a big fan of him. Had to.
Yeah. Can't say you're wrong.
Yeah. But starting with Frank Clark, sacks. Give me a number.
4.5 last year.
Yep.
You know, I've had these notes down for a while. And then we met Frank Clark.
Change the aspect. Change everything.
Bumps it up a little bit.
Got to.
So I went from him having a decent year to a pretty good year. I'm going to go 8.5 sacks.
8.5. I was going to say 7.5.
7.5. That's pretty good year.
I still think he takes a step up from what he did last year. I don't think it's very hard to take a step up from last year, if that makes sense. But I think we obviously see Frank Clark do Frank Clark things.
Yeah, I agree.
Carlos Dunlap.
8.5 last year.
Does he get that 8.5 again, Keeg?
I'm gonna go 7. 7. 7.5.
I'd agree with that. I'd go 7.5 with you. I would get behind that completely. I think that actually I'm gonna go down to 6.5 because I think at one point Karlaftas overtakes him and takes a majority of the snaps.
Okay, I got you.
Next guy we go, George Karlaftas.
Okay.
I think he's leading the team.
Okay,
I think he's leading the team.
I'm
going 9.5.
Hey, I love it.
I'm big on Karlaftas. I think everyone's gonna get punched in the face by this 30th overall pick out of frickin' Purdue, and I'm ready.
Well,
go big. Come on, Keeg.
I can't. They can only have so many sacks. And he's a rookie, so I think the Chiefs will make him earn his stripes, earn his playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I think he'll get pressure, and I think he'll realize, like, man, this guy has a motor. This guy gets after it. And don't get me wrong, I don't think he'll have a bad rookie season at all. I think he gets like 5 sacks. Okay. I think he for sure has like 5 sacks. You look and you're like, oh, solid year. But I think he really molds himself to be that NFL player that we think he will be, like you're saying.
It's definitely more realistic than the 9.5 sacks.
I love it though. He definitely could. I think he'll get the pressure. He just won't get all those sacks, but
I'm with you.
Definitely could.
I'm excited to see him line up against offensive tackles in the NFL, how they're going to react to his game and how his game's going to translate from the college level to the pro level.
Yeah, I agree.
Mike Dana.
3 last year.
I'm doubling it. 6. I think he. Do you think he loses snaps?
Man, I guess I don't know. Okay. I'll go 4. I'll go 4.
One more?
With
done 22 pressures.
Frank.
I'm with you. Maybe I'm just going too high for all these guys. I'm just excited, but
maybe a little bit.
I like your dad walking in the background.
Is that what he's doing?
He said, hey man, what's up? So who you got?
Podcast. Oh my god.
You got the fans, Keeg. You got the fans.
Podcast.
What's up, Coach Chad?
Oh, you can't do that on here. Go away. You can't do that on here, dude. You can't do that on here.
But Keeg, Malik Herring. I got Joshua Kando. You got Malik Herring. How many sacks?
15.5.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That's a Keegan answer right there.
You know what? 3.
3 for Herring. I'm going 2 for Joshua Kando.
Fair enough.
But Keegan, that is a Chiefs defensive end position breakdown. Chiefs football next week, Keeg.
Yes, sir. Game week.
This Saturday.
Yep. Up 12 o'clock versus the Bears.
Versus that boy Justin. Is Justin Fields going to suit up? Do we know?
I have no clue. I assume. I think Patty's playing, so I imagine.
Oh gosh, I don't know how I feel about that one.
He's gonna play.
Yeah, I get it, but you know how it is.
Yes, sir.
But Keeg, I mean, let them know. Where can you find the A16 Hour?
Spotify, TikTok, Facebook, all of it. Instagram, all that. The A16 Hour.
All of the above. I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, get ready for Chiefs season. New A16 Hour merch on Big Cartel. Ooh, gotta show them the back. Gotta show them the back a little bit.
Hey.
Come on, from the field to the studio to your ears. Maybe we'll have to change it to your eyes sometime. Who knows? But Big Cartel / the A16 Hour. I don't got the pin with me. I should have grabbed it. Said that in the Carter podcast as well. But
sold.
I know. Got that. We got the shirts up. Who knows? Maybe we'll have some new stuff up here in the near future. Spooktober's coming soon. That's all I got to say. But Keeg, you got anything else, man?
No, sir.
We out?
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace.
I should ask you if that's